you're not going to think it's favorable for you.
All right.
In this process, you're going to say, well, okay, I was planted. We like getting planted. We like getting cultivated. But then when it comes to the harvesting period, the harvesting comes with a price. The harvesting comes with a cut. The harvesting comes with a new journey in life. And once you get harvested with the winnowing process, the threshing floor, we know things are done. To get that wheat out of the sieve, you have to beat it. And once you beat it, then you get the little bit of morsel of grain. Then that grain, then they toss it, you know, and the wind gets it and blows the little threshings away, right? Then once that's done, this is where he hit me hard. He said, then once you've been through all of that, you have to mill this grain. And once you mill this grain, it goes into these two big stones. It has a hole in it, then it dumps out into the, like a, I would say a vat. Back then you would probably say a circle. And then this other big wheel will crush it. Then it'll go around it. It'll pulverize it and make it kind of like a, like flour. Then he said, okay, then after that, if you need that flour to be a little bit thinner, you have to take it through a sieve. Then once you take it through the sieve, then the bigger particles that you had, if you want them to be finer, you have to grind them again. Oh man, then I have to grind them again. He says that's the milling process. Through life and through different situations, you're going to have to go through the milling process. Because the milling process is going to get you to a greater good later on in your life.
Yeah.
Because the milling process, when Jesus came down from heaven, he had to go through a milling process. When he came down, he did some preaching, he did some teaching, but then right before he got ready to get up on that cross, he had to go through a milling process. When he had to get tortured, when he had to get beaten, when he had to get bruised, he had to go through a milling process. Even though he gave the covenant, he gave the Last Supper, he knew what he had to do. It was a milling process. Then once he went through that milling process, he was made into something. Oh, he was made into something that we can start to get ready to partake in.
Yeah.
And then when we look at the covenant, the way the bread and the significance of the bread, if the Lord took the Lord's Supper and he broke bread, he knew what the significance of that bread actually meant.
Right.
Then after, you know, you go through the sieving process, then you make this flour that you had, you make it into a dough. Then the dough is made, where did we come from already? We've already come from planting. We come from harvesting. We come from a milling process. And then once we get into this dough process, we get some water gets put in, some oil gets put in, and then what happens? Then you're thinking, oh man, I done went through the mill. Oh, I done went through the harvest. Okay, I'm getting some water on me now, and it's starting to feel kind of good, but then something else comes along. Anybody made bread before? Oh, you gotta knead that bread. Just when you thought it was over. And we like, man, Lord, what's going on in my life? What? Am I doing the right thing? Yeah. Am I really doing the right thing? Is this a covenant that I done got myself involved in? If this is what I gotta go through, is it really worth it?
Right.
Then you see he gets them, then you get kneaded. You have to get better, and then and sometimes it proofs up. And then when it proofs up, you have to hit it. And when you hit it, boom, you take the air right up out of it. You ever been hit so hard before the air got hit out of you? It ain't a nice feeling. It ain't nice. But the finished product.
Yeah.
The finished product. And then see, then once they knead it, they put it and they form it into a cake. They put it on the pan. They put it nice and pretty. Sometimes they even spray a little water, a little oil on it. Because you know your sourdough bread, you put a little salty water on it, then that's how you get that hard crust on the outside. Because the Lord, he's trying to tell you, I'm needing you, I'm going to put a hard crust on you because the stuff on the inside is going to be so awesomely good. All right, now come on now. Woo! Then once he forms this cake, yes. And once you form it, and then you're like, I done got formed, I done got this this water put on me. And then, am I done yet? Oh no! You tell me what else I gotta do? We gotta bake this bread now, don't we? All this bread now has got to go into an oven. Oh, wait. I missed the process. But I skipped another process. It's a process in bread breaking called proofing. You put it in another not so hot oven, but to just let there sit for a while. It's going to prove you.
Yeah.
It's going to see if you're ready before you even go into the oven. See, because if you go into a bakery, and once it goes into the proofer, if that bread doesn't rise just the right amount, if it stays flat, that means something wasn't done right.
Oh, wow.
So that means that process has to go back here, but those other loaves of bread can keep on moving along. Then once you get into that, once you come out of the proofer, then you go into the oven. And so you took a little heat to be able to get to a certain point in your life. And then now that little heat, you say, okay, you're good enough to take the little heat now. Let me take you to the big heat. Right. And once you get into that big heat, then some other stuff happens. It starts to bake, it starts to form, it starts to get good. And something happens. Have you ever been to a grocery store right in the very beginning of the morning when the bakery first opens up? Oh my goodness, don't it smell so good? Oh, the bread smells so awesome. It'll take you didn't even go into the grocery store to get a piece of bread. But before you come out, you know you done went and got you a piece of bread. You done went in for something else. Well, you are what you eat.
Yeah.
So the Lord said, I done went through all that stuff to know when you start to eat me, you could go through it too. Because yes, that process has to go along. Right. Because you want to be part of me, you're going to have to go through some of the stuff I went through. Because I went through it so you can see that you could go through it too.
Yeah.
And then once, and oh man, I don't want to get too ahead of myself. Oh, because I got ahead of myself just a little bit. Because the importance of the meal, I just got to go back just a second. Deuteronomy 24:6. You are what you eat. Because why? I'm going to go back to this part because 24:6. This was back to Deuteronomy, and this was a part of some of the things that they could not do. What made things so important. Verse 6 says, "No man shall take a meal or an upper millstone in pledge, for he would be taken alike in pledge." The milling process is so important that if they were to give away or take an oath in the meal, it was like forbidden because that was their life. That was their livelihood. So the milling part in our life is very important because it gives life, even though at the time it may feel like it's trying to take our life away. It's not.
Yeah.
It's the pledge. You don't give away the milling process. The milling process in our life, it's got to go. It's got to be there. Sometimes that milling process is so hard.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's unbearable. We think the world's going to come to an end. We think the world is at an end. But we don't know that's just the beginning of our life. Mm-hmm. That's the beginning of the perfecting of us. That's the beginning of getting rid of all that other stuff. The stuff that we thought was big in our life, it get milled down and get turned into powder. But it ain't going to do nothing but give us nourishment at the end.
Yeah.
All right. All right, sister, let's go to Psalms 127. We're going to do verse 1 and 2. Because when the elders did their part, and then everybody else in the family did their part, it was a bonding period.
Yeah.
And it was a bonding period, not a shaming period. Because, sometimes nowadays we too hard as men. Because think about me getting a piece of bread or a morsel of bread, dipping it off in some water and going and placing it in pastor's mouth. See, look at that. You see that? You see, this was a period. It's like you take it down those walls, all those boundaries. It's about showing, hey, I can be humble. It's showing I can do something that most men will not do for the safety of a covenant and the safety of my family. Just think about that. Now, listen to this. It says, except the Lord builds the house, thy labor in vain. Who built it except the Lord keeps the city? The watchman waits, but in vain. So the watchman's just looking in vain. That reads different than the version I had. That's fine. That's okay. We can read this. It says, verse 2 says, it is vain for you to rise up early, to take rest late, to eat the bread of anxious toil, for he gives blessings to his beloved in sleep. Why did I read that? Because the bread of the covenant that we have, some people may be trying to give you a bread of anxiousness. We are what we eat. If we let somebody put this type of bread in our spirit and in our souls, we won't get the greater things of God. We won't be partaking in the right covenant.
Right.
Then now let's go to Proverbs chapter 4, verse 17. No, not verse 17. We're going to actually start at verse 13. Chapter 4. We're going to start at 13. First, I was going to start right at 17, but I decided not to. Now, this is talking about wisdom. And then what to do about wisdom and getting some understanding about it. Then it takes up here at verse 13. It says, take firm hold of instructions. Do not let go. Guard her, for she is your life. All right? This says, enter not into the path of the wicked, and go not in the way of an evil man. Why don't we want to do that? All right, let's find out. Avoid it. Do not go on it. Turn from it and pass on. For they cannot sleep unless they have caused trouble, vexations. Their sleep is taken away unless they have been caused someone to fall. These are people, just wicked people. But why are they like this? For they eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. So the bread that we need to ingest, need to make sure it's the right bread. Because the bread of wickedness, it's out there.
Oh, yeah.
It's out there and people are trying to feed it to you all day long. The wine of violence, oh, it's out there. We know that's out there. It happens in the schools. It happens in the parks. It happens in the jobs. It happens at home. It happens at work. It's there. And so the bread, people are trying to make it for you all day long and try to make you a nice bologna sandwich with it and make you eat it. They'll try to toast it up, put some butter on it, and put some cinnamon and sugar and try to make it feel it tastes good. But if it's that type of bread, ooh, spider. Oh, I'm on the cabinet. Charlotte didn't spin this well. Somebody give me a tissue. I know my wife can say the same thing. It's just a spider. Well, I'll wash my hands in a minute. But look at that. There's bread of wickedness. There's wine of violence. So that's why we need to watch what we eat before we eat it. That's why I read John 6 first. Because he says to be with him, you have to partake in him and know who he is.
Right.
The only way to know who he is to get in here. To know what covenant you trying to be a part of. What type of dinner you trying to eat at the end. John 6:35.
All right.
Oh, goodness. I only come up once every 6 months. I got to get all in. I got to get to the wine. John chapter 6, verse, we start at verse 35. All right, it says, Jesus replied, this is He was talking to it was a mass amount of people. And they was wondering, what are you talking about, Jesus? What are you talking about? And give us some answers. All right, and verse 35 starts off. He says, Jesus replied, I am the bread of life. He who comes to me will never be hungry. And whoever believes and cleaves to me and trusts in and relies on me will never thirst anymore. Verse 36 says, but as I told you, although you have seen me, still you do not believe and trust and have faith. Do you think the people in the beginning here ate the bread of him already? Couldn't have. Because he wouldn't even have to make the statement in 36. He says, but as I told you, I mean, he done told them before. If the Lord had told you already to do something and you start doing something the opposite, are we partaking in it?
No.
So what are we eating? Are we eating what was in Psalms or what was in Proverbs? Somebody giving us some false bread, some false knowledge. Still, you do not believe and trust and have faith. Because by eating him brings on the belief. By eating him brings on the trust. And having the food of the belief and the trust gives us the faith. It says, all whom my Father gives and trusts to me will come to me. And the one who comes to me, I will most certainly not cast out. I will never reject one of them who comes to me. Because coming to him means we're partaking. And that's what the covenant's all about, is partaking. Even though God stood in the middle of all those carcasses, Abraham still partook of him.
Yeah.
He still did it. He still went through it. Even when times, let's go to Genesis. Because even at times when it looked like, Genesis chapter I'm going to run wait, here it comes. Yeah. Genesis chapter 18. Listen to this. What happens here? This is after Abraham got his name changed, right? Because he was Abram before this. Mm-hmm. And the three visitors come in and to visit Abraham right before they get ready to go down into Sodom and Gomorrah. Right? And so he's already been told what was going to be promised to him. But when we read the story, some of it he already knew. But then something's going to happen to where the doubt is going to try to equal in just a little bit. So the Lord appeared to Abraham near the great... Oh, that's it. Yeah. This is NIV here. You can keep Amplified up there if you want, though. That's fine. It said, the Lord appeared to Abraham near the great tree of myrrh, while he was sitting in the entrance of his tent. And in the heat of the day, Abraham looked up and saw three men standing near. When he saw them, he hurried from the entrance into the tent to meet them and bowed low onto the ground. So he already knew they were different men. They just weren't three regular old guys. He said, if I find favor in your eyes, my Lord, do not pass your servant. Let a little water be brought, and then you may all wash your feet and rest under this tree. Let me get you something to eat, so you can be refreshed, then go on your way. Now that you have come to your servants, very well, they answered, do as you say. So Abraham hurried into his tent. Very quick, I don't want to have to read all that. Yes, I will. Quick, he said, get 3 sheaves of fine flour and knead it, and bake some bread. Y'all see something a little different going on already? He's baking some bread. All right, so since they're baking this bread, something's going to come up. Then he ran to the herd, and they selected a choice tender calf and gave it to the servant, who hurried to prepare it. They cooking it, right? They went and got some milk. They went and got the calf. They prepared this food for it. They said while they ate he stood near and under the tree. Now, listen to this is what's going to happen. This is where it gets interesting. It says, "Where is your wife, Sarah?" they asked him. "There in the tent," he said. Then listen to this. "Then the Lord said, I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah, your wife, will have a son." Watch what they say. Now Sarah was listening at the entrance of the tent, which was behind him. Abraham and Sarah were already old and well advanced in years, and Sarah was past the age of childbearing.
Mm-hmm.
So Sarah laughed. What happened? Why Sarah laughed? It was a joke. You got the Lord standing up in your house telling you something that's miraculous getting ready to happen to you. But you laugh at it. It was funny. It was funny to her, wasn't it? He said, I was well past the years. And listen to this. To herself, she thought she did it to herself. After I'm worn out and my master is old, she said, I'm worn out. We've been trying for years. Years we've been trying. I'm worn out. My master is old and he old too. What you mean? We got kids in this old body? You say, will I now have this pleasure? Not only a husband, but pleasure in being married. I mean, not married, but pleasure in having a kid. So this is something she's been wanting. But some doubt. Then the Lord said to Abraham, why did Sarah laugh and say, will I really have a child? Now that I am old, she got doubt. So when she tried to have some doubt, but Abraham stood tall. Abraham stood there. But the doubt, if Abraham would have let his wife, hold on, let me read some more. Is anything too hard for the Lord? I will return to you at this appointed time next year, and Sarah will have a son. Sarah was afraid, so she lied and said, I did not laugh. But he said, yes, you did laugh. Can you imagine the Lord turning to you saying, yeah, you laughed at me. But I got to prove something to you. Even though your faith in me ain't as strong as it should be, since I done talked to your husband and me and your husband and came to an arrangement, see, that's a little side thing. Sometimes we just get blessed because of arrangements, people have made for us. Boy. We just don't know how important sometimes our grandmamas, our granddaddies, sometimes some just brothers and sisters have put some nice blessings on our lives.
Yeah.
Just because of being in relationship.
Yes.
Oh. She laughed at him. Why? Why? Because she wasn't partaking in the right type of bread at the time. Yes, sir.
Well, in all fairness, this was her first real encounter with God.
All right.
And it's a natural response when you hear God for the first time tell you what He's going to do with your life. It is unbelievable. With everybody. And for the first time, and He's not even really talking to her directly, but I know you're talking about me.
Yeah.
And if my husband is breaking and rushing all this has got to be somebody important. So now, yeah, I'm not trying to eavesdrop, but I am trying to eavesdrop. And so I already know you're listening, so let the record show. I want you to hear what I'm saying. And so now, yeah, that's any last one of them. When God first comes to you and says, I'm going to do this great miraculous thing, and I'm going to use you to do it.
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
Right?
Yeah.
Ain't no way.
Oh, yeah.
Now, God, hold on. I'm not doubting you. I'm not doubting this miraculous work. What I am doubting is, see, I know me. Ain't no way you're going to use nothing like this to do no great work, what you're talking about.
Yeah.
We say the same thing.
Yeah.
When Moses first encounters God, and he says, hey, I got to work for you. Now, it wasn't until he understood what the work was, now he stuttered.
Yeah.
He talked clearly all before then, but then when it came clear, I'm going to deliver Israel. That's a good thing. Because they're getting tore up down there in Egypt. I done heard their cries. About time somebody been listening. I'm down with that. Good. I'm going to deliver them. Hey, man. They're going to be glad to hear that. And I'm going to use you to do it. What'd you say?
Elmer Fudd.
Yeah. Now, yes, unbelievable. I just don't. Yeah. Now we got to go through all these tests and proving ground. Hey, drop the rod down. Put your hand in your bosom, all that. Pull it out. All this. I got to turn it to the left side. I got to turn it back and all. I got to do all these magic tricks for you to show you I'm going to use you. He still wasn't going with that. Man, I stutter. I can't talk. Well, Aaron was coming. Well, your brother, he talked good.
No,
You do the work, let him talk. And so, yeah, in all fairness, yeah, that's every last one of them. Even after the third and fourth and fifth time,
Yeah.
God has talked to us. I'm going to use you. I don't believe that. I can't. I honor you, God. Now, do you know what kind of life I done lived? Do you know what kind of life I'm living?
Yeah, come on. Yeah.
And you want to use, are you sure about this?
Little old me.
Yeah. And I mean, some of us ain't been on the road as long as she have, but yeah. You know, as long as I've been going, ain't no way. Yeah, but see, it ain't just that I'm old, he old.
Right. Amen. As we go to I'm going to go back to John. John 6. I didn't see no hands nowhere else, right? No? All right. Verse 37 of John 6, verse 37. I think that's where I left off before I went to Genesis. Say, all whom my Father gives and trusts to me will come to me, and the one who comes to me I will most certainly not cast out. I will never, no, never reject one of them who comes to me. Verse 38 says, for I have come down from heaven not to do my own will and purpose, but to do the will and the purpose of him who sent me. And verse 39 says, and this is the will of him who sent me, that I should not lose any of all that he has given me, but I should give new life and raise them all up in the last day. See, this is the purpose of the breaking. See, then later on when he goes to break bread and he gives it for them to eat, he's letting them know you are part, when you eat this, you are partaking me.
Yeah.
And when you partake me, you get to my Father.
Right.
And the only way to get to my Father is partaking in me. But some people think it's a riddle. It sounds like a riddle to them. To them. Partaking to you and I get to God. But what if I just want a cinnamon roll instead of some bread of life?
Wow.
Oh, Cinnabon. It's got a little bit more caramel, a little bit more cinnamon, a little bit more flavoring than just regular old bread. But that is sometimes the dilemma we're stuck in. Do I want some good bread of life, or do I want some flavorful bread of whatever I want? Yes, ma'am.
If that's the case, you know, instead of the bread or the life, you got to decide whether you want the taste or the touch.
Oh, come on now. All right. Boom. All right, now the taste of the touch. We need to put that on the t-shirt. Yeah, I like that. I may have to copyright that one. Do you want the taste or you want the touch? All right. Because...
She just said
What she say?
it. You gonna copyright it. She just said it.
If I get to the patent office first, no, I wouldn't do that to myself. I wouldn't do that to myself. And YouTube, y'all better not get it. If I find that on somebody's shirt, tell me. Now today is May 4th, 2018.
See?
Don't copy, yeah. And so that's what we're trying to get. Hebrews chapter 13.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it's when you sit down with somebody to eat, it's usually not just anybody, right? Usually when you sit down or go out to eat, it's either with friends or it's with someone that you're trying to become friends with, or sometimes you're trying to do a business arrangement with.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you go to do something, it's about building that relationship. That's what the covenant is. That's what the eating of the bread is. That's what the whole feast was about. It's about building of the relationship. Because you've had two sides of the family that probably at one point in time could have been at odds with each other. But since your weakness is a strength that I have and your strength is a weakness that I have, we're going to have to drop all that nonsense and we're going to have to come together. And so that building is the part of, the food was the part of the building of the relationship to be able to, what we call it, investigate and recreate and to understand about each other. Because then we can understand when someone says, well, Pastor did such and such, I can be like, that's not his characteristic. So that can't be the person you're talking about, that you're talking about. And so that relationship is the same thing with God, same thing with Jesus. If they come and tell you something that's opposite of the word, if you spent enough time and had enough relationship, you know, that's not Bible.
Yeah.
That ain't the way that goes down. No, the only way to do that is that relationship, and it was part of building a relationship. That's why we have, you know, every fourth, I can't remember what day, what Saturday it is, but every Saturday that when we do eat, it's a part of that building of the relationships. So we know each other. When something happens, we know. If somebody tried to say something about someone, you know, that's not a Kenny characteristic. What you say? Kenny was shouting and doing what? No. Maybe he was at a Cowboy game or something, but he was just shouting and no, I don't think that was him. Because I've known Kenny for almost 10 years. I don't think I ever heard Kenny raise his voice once. He do? But see, that's a relationship there, ain't it? That's a husband and wife relationship. You see, they know, she knows more about him than I do. But that came with relationship. Yeah, that's the part of that. Where was I going? Hebrews chapter 13. I was going to start at verse 5. Verse 5 says, let your character or moral disposition be free from love of money, including greed, avarice, lust, and craving for earthly possessions. And be satisfied with your present circumstances and with what you have. For he, God himself, has said, I will not in any way fail you, nor give you up, nor leave you without support. I will not in any degree leave you helpless, nor forsake, nor let you down. Relax. My hold on you assuredly not. Why did I read this? Because that's covenant talk right there. Because once you enter into that covenant, it was sealed. It was bound. It was bound until death. And so he's telling you, I won't forsake you. I won't leave you. Some of the stuff you do, some of the mishaps you do, you may choose to try to walk away from me. But when you do walk away, you know what? I'm still right here.
Yeah.
I ain't turned my back on you. I ain't gave you the hand. I ain't gave you the half of the peace sign. You know? He's saying, all that idiotic stuff you've done, all that idiotic stuff, if you've been partaking in me, I understand you may be going through a phase in your life.
Yeah.
But sooner or later, I want you to know where you left me, I ain't left you. Son, daughter, come on. I'm right here. I'm your anchor. I'm your stronghold. Because this is the bread that I'm breaking with you. This is the covenant that I've got entangled in with you with. Because being entangled in something, that means you in there. You don't got a knot in. in our baby's hair. I done got a knot in my kids' hair before. It ain't easy to get those tangled out. If it get too hard, you gotta cut it out. Lord said, I will not leave, I will not forsake you, because this is, I know what I got into.
Yeah.
Do you know what you got into? Yes, ma'am.
And you know something, it also made me think with this covenant, it's so easy for me to put my mouth on Rosalind, but if I can keep my mouth on me, I got a chance to do what the will of the Father wants connected to this covenant. Because the world, with the world, is so easy for me to put or somebody to put their mouth on somebody else.
Right?
But the first key to me finding out what the Lord had for me is to try to get the kinks out of my life.
Come on.
Because everybody got something. This person might have went through more than that person, but at the same token, what I could have taken, Rosalind might not have. So through her decisions or my decisions or everyone in this room decisions, even some of the young folks, we gotta realize that it's so easy for me to put my mouth on Rosalind or just whoever. But I'm realizing I got not a lifetime, but I have to learn to put my mouth on me, because I am my biggest enemy. And I do believe with the word of God, that's what it's so easy to talk about somebody else. But what I'm learning, I just appreciate the word of God to be able to say, you know something, everybody say you nasty, everybody say you nice, but I really think sometimes I can get a little nasty. And when I can get a little nasty, I have to check myself and put myself in place. I don't need Rosalind to do that.
All right. Amen. And that's all part of growth too.
It is.
That's part of major growth.
It is. It is.
Because we, like you say, it's easy. It's
Yeah,
easy.
It's so easy.
You can easily put somebody's name in your mouth, spit it out, and make them look like the worst sinner in the worst sinner in the world. Yes, ma'am.
And one more something else I tell you, you know, for probably a lot of our grandparents, great-great-grandparents and all that, because my three-great-grandma, she was blind. And the house she lived in, I think she had been there for a while. But in the process of that, when strangers would come around, she would pretend, because they knew she was blind, that she didn't know where she was going. But she knew the house better than everybody in the house, and yet she was the only one blind. But in the process of that, when she could be mean, she was mean. Blind and mean. And you would think that don't even go together. If you're blind, you need all the help you can get. But she was so mean. And how she remembered me, I used to sing this song. I don't even remember, you can call it what you want, I call it messing with the kid or something she said. But because it would give her joy when I came around, I guess that's why she liked me to this day. I don't know. But it's like going back. Sometime we have to just pay attention, because somebody can say something, and if you're having a bad day, it could be innocent as all outdoors. But because you're having a bad day, you can receive it wrong. You can take it wrong.
That's right.
When it came out their mouth, it was no ill intention, but because I was having a bad day, I took it the wrong way, because I might have had something against you anyway. You didn't speak to me, and you didn't say good morning. And I know you heard me when I said good morning.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I've seen that happen before.
I'm telling you, it happens. It happens.
They can be in their own zone, and you tell them good morning, and once they're in their zone, they don't hear you, because something at home can be happening, something what else could be happening.
Yeah, and then the Lord said He would never put on us no more than we can bear, because I really thought He thought I was a female Samson. But I'm finding out some of the bad decisions I made, it's like whatever affected those bad decisions, He prepared me for those bad decisions right now.
And that goes like that kneading process,
So
that
it's
milling, all that stuff.
It's just amazing how stuff happens.
Boy,
And it's always connected to the word of God, and it's for your good.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it can get a little hard sometimes.
boy, it can.
I'm sorry.
No, you good. You good. I'm gonna jump to Hebrews 9. Go to Hebrews 9. I'm sorry, before we go to Hebrews 9, let's go to Genesis chapter 14. Genesis 14, and I'm going to start at verse 17. Only reason I'm going to jump back here is just to see that how early, say, the covenant, or how early the covenant meal even started to even get us to all the way to, say, Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Because this was even before he was turned into, or his name changed to Abraham. Because a whole lot of stuff happened. His brother got caught, got took away, and then he wound up getting word that, hey, your brother is in this foreign land, he's held captive, and hey, you need to go get him. All right? And so then, after he's done all that, there's a big old army there, and then he gets his army, his people, I think it said like 325 people. They split up, then they go and get Lot. But then after they go and get Lot, this is what happens between Abram and the king of Sodom. Verse 17 says, after Abram returned from defeating Kedorlaomer and the king's ally with him, the king of Sodom came out to meet him in the valley of Sheb. That is the king's valley. Then Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. He was priest of God Most High, and he blessed Abram, saying, "Blessed be Abram by God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, and blessed be God Most High, who delivered your enemies into your hands." So, and then later on in this verse, the king of Sodom is going to try to give Abram something, but Abram says, you know what? I don't want what you're trying to give me.
Yeah.
Because if I take what you try to give me, you're going to say that I'm the one, or you're the one that made me rich. But he wants to make sure that people know Melchizedek, God, is the person that made him rich. Then, see, he brought out bread and wine. See, he brought out the bread and wine first. So he brought out, that was a part of a beginning, establishment of that was a covenant meal. The bread and that wine. So he wanted to make sure that when he became rich, or when he became great, and when he became vast, no one could try to say, because when they get ready to go down into Sodom and Gomorrah later, then if he would have took what the king of Sodom would have given him, then he could have looked at the whole situation a little bit different when the angels went to go take over, or pretty much annihilate the people of Sodom and Gomorrah. Because then you start, what's the word, showing favoritism. See, when favoritism starts to take place, then you have a clouded judgment. And he wanted to make sure my judgment is not going to be clouded. I don't want your judgment to be clouded.
Yeah.
So when I go into this, I know God gave it all to me. Now, we'll jump to Hebrews 9.
All right.
And wow, time is like out of there. So y'all trying to get to the wine, y'all. I really did. to start in verse 11. Oh man. I can't just start at verse 11. I'm sorry, y'all. Okay, verse 7. Let's start at verse 7. So, but in the second division of the tabernacle, none but the high priest goes. Oh, I can't start there. I ain't gonna make it. I ain't gonna make it, y'all. Because I would have to start out. I'm sorry. All right, any questions, any comments? You're gonna try to do it. Because we are what we eat. We are. I would love to get to the wine, but it'll take me too long. It'll take me too long. But just the process, that's why when he showed me that not only just looking at it from the instance of just bread and wine, but looking at the process that goes through making the bread, what goes through making the wine, it all is relative to why we partake in it and why we do it. Because if we actually look at him as being the bread of life, what he had to do to go to become the bread of life. And why when we take it, that's why it's so important. And then the blood, when you get to when you see it mixed with the wine, or what it means as the wine, and what it takes to get to the wine, how important and how blessed we are to be able to have communion with him. It's just, it's an awesome thing to have. It's an awesome thing to be a part of. It's an awesome thing not to take it lightly anymore. Because, a lot of people would just take it lightly as it's just another thing to do.
Yeah.
It's just something. I do it here, I do it then, and does it really mean anything? It really does. It means a ton. It means a lot. But I'm going to end it there because I just know we'll be here another 30, 45 minutes if I went further.
Amen.
Amen?
Amen.
Questions, comments, complaints? Brother Jay?